In this video, I'm going to go through the solutions to mini test in chapter 5. The first question is for the function y is equal to negative 2 sine 8x plus 2 minus 10. Find the amplitude. We know to find the amplitude, we know we need b. Now the argument is 8x plus 2. I can write 8x plus 2 as 8 times x plus 2 over 8. So b is going to be equal to 8. And we know that period is 2 pi over b, which is 2 pi over 8, which is going to be pi over 4, or is going to be 45 degrees. So this is 45 degrees. The amplitude is the coefficient, but the absolute value of the coefficient, which is going to be absolute value of negative 2, which is 2. The equation of the axis is going to be y is equal to negative 10. The equation of the axis is the vertical shift, and since it wants the equation, it has to be given as an equation of a line, which is y equal negative 10. The domain is going to be x in R, and the range, since sine is always between 1 and negative 1, we can see that the maximum that this function gets is when sine is 1, so the maximum is negative 2 times 1 minus 10, which is going to be negative 12. And the minimum is for sine x to be negative 1, so you get negative 2 times negative 1 minus 10, which is going to be 2 minus 10, which is going to be negative 8. Since negative 8 is greater than negative 12, so the range is y in R and y less than or equal to negative 8 greater than or equal to negative 12. For the next one, we have y equal 3 cos 2 over pi 5 times 3x plus 15. We have to do exactly the same thing. So what we are going to do is that we are going to write 2 over 5 3x plus 15. We factor 3 out to make coefficient of x equal to 1, so we get 2 over 5 times 3 x plus 15 over 3 is 5, so it's going to be 6 over 5 x plus 5. So the period is 2 pi divided by b, which is 6 over 5, which is the same as 2 pi times 5 over 6, which is going to be 10 pi over 6. If you divide by 2, you get 5 pi over 3. So the period is 5 pi over 3. If you change it to degrees, it becomes 300. 5 times 180 divided by 3 is 300. The next one is the amplitude. The amplitude is the absolute value of the coefficient, which is 3. The equation of the axis is going to be y equal to 0 because there is no vertical shifts here. The next one is the domain. Domain is x in R. Now to find the range, again y is in R. Now we have to find the maximum and minimum of the function. We know that cos, the maximum is 3 and the minimum is negative 1. So this becomes 3 times 1 is 3, the maximum, and the minimum is 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3. So y is between 3 and negative 3. The next question is determine the sine and cosine equation for the graph below. To do that one, we need the following piece of information. First, the maximum, as you can see from the graph, the maximum is here, which is 1.4. The minimum is here, which is negative 1.4. The period of the function, if we start here, we're going to end here, so it's 720. So we know that A is max minus mean divided by 2, which gives us 1.4. Our K is max plus mean divided by 2, which is going to give us 0. Now B is 360 divided by period, which is 720, which is going to give us 1/2. Now, as I said in the class, the best equation to find first is the cosine. To find the cosine and to find the phase shift, find one of the maximums, and the x-coordinate of the maximum is the phase shift. If we look here, this is our maximum, and this is the x-coordinate of the maximum. So the phase shift, which is h, is 540. So we can write the cosine representation of the graph as y is equal to a times cos of b. B is 1/2 times x minus h, which is 540, plus k. And we found k to be equal to 0. So this is the cosine relationship. Now, I also mentioned that if you add 90 degrees to the argument of the cosine, you get the sine representation. So this is equal to 1/4 sine 1/2 x minus 540 plus 90. Now, if you simplify this argument, you get 1/1.4 sine 1/2 x minus 360. And this is the sine representation. So this is the sine, and this one is the cos representation of the graph. The next equation asks us to sketch the transformation 2 cos 9/2x minus 30 plus 7, and we're supposed to use the special angles 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360. We are supposed to use mapping notation, and also if we have to relabel the graph, we should indicate it on the graph. So first we need to find A. We know that A from the graph is the coefficient, which is 2. Then we are going to find B. B is the coefficient of x, which is 9/2. Then H is the phase shift, which is here, which is 30. And K is 7. This means that x, y, the mapping notation becomes x over b. So x over 9/2 is 2/9x. You flip it, plus h plus 30, comma, y becomes ay 2y plus k, which is 7. So this is our mapping notation. Now we are going to show the transformation of table of values for these points for the base function. The base function is y is equal to cos x. So our table of value becomes 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360. Cos of 0 is 1, cos of 90 is 0, cos of 180 is -1, cos of 270 is 0, cos of 360 is 1. This is for y equal cos x. Now we are going to transform this table of values using this mapping notation here. This says that for every x value, multiply it by 2/9 and add 30 to it. Now, if x is 0, then we get 2/9 times 0, which is 0 plus 30, which becomes 30. When x is 90, 2/9 times 90 plus 30 becomes 90/9 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20 plus 30 is 50. If you see, we started from 30, we went to 50. The next one is going to be 70, add 20. The next one is going to be 90, and the next one is going to be 110. Or you can just substitute 180 in the equation. 2/9 times 180 plus 30, you get exactly the same thing, 70. For the y, we are going to use 2y plus 7. Multiply y by 2, add 7. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 7 is 9. 0 times 2 is 0, plus 7 is 7. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, plus 7 is 5. 0, again, we get 7. And 1, 2 plus 7 is 9. So now we have to go and plot this table of value, this one. First of all, y goes to a maximum of 9, so I'm going to relabel this one as 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Now I'm going to change these to 27.5, 55, 82.5, and 110. Now I'm going to plot each point. It says 30 is 9, 30 is around here, 9 is in middle, so the point is going to be somewhere around here. The next one is 50 and 7. 50 and 7 is going to be somewhere around here. Then the next one is going to be 70 and 9. 70 and 9 is going to be 70 and 5 is going to be somewhere around here. Then it's going to be 90 and 7. 90 and 7 is going to be somewhere around here. And the last point is 110 and 9, which is going to be around here. So our graph is going to look like this curve. The next question says that you have a sinusoidal function with an amplitude of 6. So A is 6. The equation of sinusoidal axis K is equal to 4. Period is 180. And the maximum it has 40 and 10. Determine an equation using cosine function. So since we know period, we know that B is 360 divided by period, which is 180, gives us 2. Now, since the maximum, the x-coordinate of the maximum is 40, this means that h is 40. So the equation becomes A cos B x minus h, which is 40, plus k. And our k is 4. So the equation becomes 6 cos 2 times x minus 40 plus 4. Now, if the question asks to change this one to sine, the sine representation becomes this equation. Add 90 to it. And then you can go ahead and simplify this equation. The next question says that you have a graph of y equal cos x. Recalling the graph of y equal cos x, the graph looks like the following. The x-intercepts are here. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and so forth. Remember, the first one is pi over 2, which is the same as 90 degrees. The next one is 3 pi over 2, which is 270, and so forth. Now it says that the amplitude becomes 6. So this means that our graph is going to become something like this graph. Nothing about phase shift yet. So this is our new graph. The other thing that it says is that the x-intercepts now coincide with the maximum values. These are the x-intercepts. So the maximum value, which is here, coincide with this x-intercept here. This obviously means that this graph has to go down 6 units and then go to the right 90 degrees. Because if it goes down 6 units, this point, the maximum, goes on the origin here, and then when it goes to the right 90 degrees, this maximum falls on the x-intercept of the original graph. Going down 6 units, this means that the vertical shift is negative 6, and going right 90 degrees means phase shift is 90. So the equation becomes y is equal to 6 cos x minus 90 minus 6. The next part of the question says what phase shift of the transform function produces a y-intercept of negative 1. Remember, the transform equation is this guy. So I want to introduce a phase shift to this one, so the y-intercept is negative 1. Let's assume the phase shift is h. So the equation becomes y is equal to 6 cos x minus 90 minus h, minus 6. H is the phase shift which I have to produce so that the y-intercept becomes negative 1. We know that the y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So when x is equal to 0 in this equation, y has to be negative 1. So I have to solve this equation. Negative 1 is equal to 6 cos 0 minus 90 minus h minus 6. If I move negative 6 to the left, it becomes 6. 6 minus 1 becomes 5. So 5 is equal to 6 cos negative 90 minus h. Or if I divide by 6, I get cos negative 90 minus h is equal to 5 over 6. Now, if we use the inverse cos, we will find the angle which produces a cos of 5 over 6 is 33.55. So this means that negative 90 minus h is 33.55. From here, if I move negative h to the right and 33.55 to the left, I get h is negative 90 minus 33.55, which is going to be negative 123.55. This means 123.55 degrees phase shift to the left, because h is negative, is going to produce a y-intercept of negative 1. Now the second part of the question says what is the equation of the function after the transformation. We are going to substitute this value back in the equation, we get y. is 6 cos x minus 90 minus h, so it's minus minus, so it's going to be plus 123.55, which is going to give us 6 cos x minus 90 plus 123.55 is 33.56 minus 6. Here we have a minus 6 here too. So this is the equation of the function after the transformation. The next part of the question says graph equation found in part C, meaning y is equal to 6 cos of x plus 33.56 minus 6. Again, the base function is cos x. So the table of values for the values 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360 becomes cos 0 is 1, 90 is 0, 180 is negative 1, 0, and 1. Now, we know that our A value is equal to 6, our B value is equal to 1, our H is negative 33.56, and our K is equal to negative 6. This means that xy becomes x over b, which is x, plus h. H is negative 33.56. ay, which is 6y, plus k, which is negative 6. Now this means that take every x value from this table of values, subtract 33.56, and every y value multiply by 6, subtract 6. So let's do the transformation on this table of value. We are going to get the following table of values. When x is 0, putting x is 0 in this equation becomes negative 33.56. When x is 90, 90 minus 33.56 gives us 56.44. When x is 180, we get 144.44. When x is 270, we get 236.44. And when x is 360, we get 326.44. Now for y value, when y is 1, 6 times 1 minus 6 is 0. When y is 0, we get negative 6. When y is negative 1, we get negative 12. When y is 0, we get negative 6. And when y is 1, we get 0. So we have to plot this table of value now. Now we are going to roughly set our x-axis here and the y-axis somewhere in between here. Now we are going to start counting. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So this is 12. Negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10, negative 12 is here. Now for the x-axis, assume that every of these boxes is 33.56. So the first one is negative 33.56, so it's going to be around here, is 0. Then 56.44 is going to be around this point, and then it's negative 6, so 2, 4, 6, so it's going to be around here. Then 144.44 is going to be about 4.3 boxes to the right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.3, and then it's going to be negative 12, so it's going to be around here. And then we have 236.44, which is going to be about 7 boxes to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's going to be negative 6. 2, 4, 6, 7, so it's going to be negative 6 is about here. And the last one is 326.44, which is about 9.7 boxes to the right. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and it's 0. So it's going to be around 9.7 boxes, so it's going to be around here. So our graph roughly is going to look like this graph.